Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. Since 2009, HRN podcasts have been exploring the wide world of food, beverage, and agriculture. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by Roberta's, home of Heritage Radio Network since 2009. Learn more about Roberta's at robertaspizza.com.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes, finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Hello, welcome to Snacky Tunes. I'm your host, Darren Bresnitz, and I'm so excited to welcome back our good friend, Chef Philip Speer, to the show. We chat about life, his love for running, and his work in the culinary community. Since we last chatted, he had shut down his beloved restaurant, Bon Ami, and opened the critically acclaimed Comedor, launched his own run club, and became a national advocate for mental health in the F&B space. On this episode, we talk about the importance of having your own clubhouse, focusing on a pre-shift culture, and what he listens to when he's out for a 5K. If you want to listen to the playlist, there is a link in the episode description. And then we dig into the archives when Ricky Swift, Bianca, and Molly Nugent, better known as the Brooklyn Rock trio, Bernadette, swung into the shipping containers. They had freshly wrapped up their first ever tour in 2018, which was in support of their debut EP, Shadow Paint. They joined us for an in-studio live performance and for some delicious pizza. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy Snacky Tunes here on Heritage Radio Network.
I wore the woven 6 strands of your hair as a charm bracelet round my wrist instead, under the pavement, caressing the cracks as a remembrance of our faded past, waiting to find solace that spoon-fed the intrinsic shine of love's laid lost too long. Truth or partially, the truth it was for me. All an illusion, though I still cling to all you said. Not on the water, collected in fire, sorbiting daughter, clandestine desire, waiting to find solace that spoon-fed the intrinsic shine of hopes laid lost too long. In truth or partially, the truth it was for me. All ocean. Though I still cling to all you said. No, we are is what we were. A failed minuet, a failed minuet. No, we are is what we were. A failed minuet, a failed minuet.
Philip, welcome back to Snacky Tunes. I know I just saw you a few weeks ago in Austin, but it's always good to see your face.
You as well. I'm excited to be back. It's been a few years.
It's been a few years. I mean, the last time we had you on, we did it in person at Bonami. I still think about those Poems Roasty like all the time, and I'm just like, maybe I could fry them at home, but probably not because they won't turn out as well. And since then, that place is closed, and you've opened Comedor, which opened in 2019. And I know that we're going to talk a lot about the opening of the restaurant, but I want to talk a little bit about that transition of having a restaurant that everyone seemed to love, and having to shut that down and open up a new spot. What do you remember that time? What do you remember about that transition?
I mean, the transition was kind of a whirlwind. I had already begun doing some consulting with the group that I joined to open Comedor. So I'd already begun working on some kitchen design and some other projects. My business partner in Comedor now, William Bull, and I had also started the My Name is Joe coffee trailer, which was a coffee trailer that benefits a portion of our profits benefited the Southern Star, benefited a Serenity Star, a rehab program here in Texas, which is a free rehabilitation program from drug and alcohol abuse. So we were doing some work there, and we were working together a bit. The transition was fast, but to just kind of discuss the closing of Bonami, it's funny, you say you still think about it. We think about it daily. My daughter and I, we work together, and we work together at Bonami as well as others. I still live in that same neighborhood, and the goal is really to create a neighborhood restaurant. I just think we were a little ahead of our time. It's funny to this day, I guess 6 years later from opening, I have people stop me in the neighborhood and tell me it was their favorite restaurant.
I believe it 100%. I think about it. Yeah.
The amount of people who tell me that, though, I kind of add them up, and I'm like, we should still be open, y'all. But we're not.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, this is why you got to support your neighborhood restaurants. This is why you got to be a regular, and not just be like I ate there once and left. And it's about community and support, because it's like, hey, if all of you missed it and all of you came in, not even, let's just say once a month,
yeah,
you can still come back in once a month. You and I have known each other for a long time. I've known you at a ton of different restaurants, and you are always opening spaces and thinking about new ideas. And what is the importance of opening up a new space? Like, does it allow you to redefine and recontextualize restaurant culture in the new spot? Does it allow you to get a little bit of a fresh start each time and say something new?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's when you think of a neighborhood, a community, a city, and you think of, always bringing new life into that. And, it's super important that we're out there kind of reinventing all the time. And first and foremost, I just want to express gratitude for the ability to do so. I mean, there are many people who don't get that opportunity. So being someone in this profession and in this market who has been, again, granted the opportunity to kind of reinvent a lot.
Mhm.
Obviously I take some of my own personal credit for it. But there's a lot of things that have to go the right way to make that happen. And in doing so, and creating new spaces in this market, in this community,
Mhm.
is necessary for the long-term vitality of and sustainability of the community, because we need to reinvent and refresh what we're doing, not only to offer new, exciting experiences for the guests, for the diner, for ourselves, but to reinvent how we're doing it and the way we're treating each other, taking care of our people
Yeah, and I think
and ourselves.
yeah, no, of course, and I think that in opening up a spot, I mean, look, the goal is to always have a spot that runs and evolves and allows a shift. But when you get to open up a new spot, you get to bring in new tenets of the culture and conversation into it. And I know that when Comedor opened, sobriety and mental health and wellness had not just been a big part of your life, but also had started to really, become more part of the conversation in restaurant culture. Not as much as like what happened post-pandemic, but like the tenets were starting. And
Absolutely.
So in opening that, especially from the beginning, did that allow you to not only like culture-wise start to bring that in, but also then from a business point of view, because that stuff is not cheap, especially at a place where like margins are already razor thin. And so, how much did you have to get customers to buy in and your business partners? Like, how did all that work together from like the feel-good nature of it, but then also like the P&L nature of it?
Absolutely. And you're right. The conversation was starting. The conversation was making some progress. The conversation had been started a couple of years previous, but even 2 years before that, when I was going in through the opening of Bonami, we couldn't quite figure it out. I was ready for it. I was there for it.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone through my transition in my life. I'd had a couple of years of sobriety. I had figured it out, which obviously we still haven't figured it out, but
Sure.
And it was like, it was the way it's the way I wanted to run that restaurant as well. And it didn't work there. We weren't ready enough. I didn't have, it does take a lot of buy-in. It's not only buy-in from the people that you're bringing in, but it's buy-in from your business partners. And you made a really good point in asking that question. How do you work it into the business operation? And that is what you have to do. It's literally what you have to do. You have to find a partner who is aligned in that same vision, which I did. When I joined the group to create what is now Comedor, they had already operated a bar that was already paying their not only paying their employees a really great wage, they were already providing insurance for them. And that was a much smaller group of people, but there was no question if that's what we wanted to do for Comedor or not. So we found a few ways to do it. We worked it into the P&L. It was a line item that wasn't going to go away. It wasn't optional. It was just something we needed to do. And we made adjustments in other places to do that. It doesn't take customer buy-in, yes, with or without their knowing, right? You can work it into your pricing structure. You can do what many restaurants are doing now and add anywhere from a 1% healthcare charge to 20% healthcare charge. And I've seen everything across the board.
Yeah.
We chose to do a little combination of the two. We did a 3.5% wellness charge to pass on to our guests with, obviously the option to remove that. However, we've also put our pricing as such that is taken care of in the pricing, and we don't have to then have a discussion with our guest about because many guests don't want to know, right?
No, they don't want that 4% health charge, which was just a huge. Like this came up with Alimento the other week in LA, where someone was, the owner was just like, I can't believe I have to defend this, but like you want it both ways. You don't want higher price points in the item, but we need help, and we all know this. We're talking about like how people need support. Right. Can you help kick in a little cash?
It's got to be, you've got to pick one or the other. And we've also learned that by doing a smaller percentage and then just raising our prices, we don't have to have that conversation. And that makes the dining experience so much better. Now, we do have the advantage of being a very high-end restaurant. And so not every restaurant can do that. And, the perceived value between our concept and other concepts, and some other concepts, is that is on our minds as consumers always. So, paying X amount for the PPA, or the price per person average of our guest here, because of the building we're in, because of the experience we offer, because of the ingredients we use, because of the professionalism of our staff, we get away with a higher PPA. But we execute on that. And then there are restaurants with the lower PPA who have the same needs to take better care of their employees, to ensure their employees that pay a better wage. And it's harder in those margins. So then you need to say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're charging more.
Yeah. It gets tough when you start getting in that middle range, and all of a sudden sandwiches and things like that start costing $23, and you go like, exactly. I'm just not. I know it's fresh baked bread, and I know that you make all your meats and spreads and everything in the house, but I can't justify that. Beyond the dollars and cents of it all, the culture shift has been pretty interesting, and you've been pretty open about that. Bourdain passed away in 2018. You opened up this restaurant in 2019, and I think his passing had a lot to do with where people really started to pick apart and examine what does it all mean at the end of the day of a life in restaurants or a life in entertainment and things like that, and what's it worth? And part of what I saw in reading about this was you changing the post-shift mentality to a pre-shift mentality, even going as far as saying you can't get a post-shift drink. You need to leave. I think I read a couple of hours and you come back as a customer, which right. I get it, because it's like you leave and you go home and like you just maybe sack out sometimes, instead of like you have the adrenaline of working and you're doing shots and you're drinking, and it rolls and it rolls and it rolls. Yeah. Getting people, though, to say, like, you're going to wake up early instead of stay out late is a big shift. How do you convince people who maybe some of the reason why they got into cooking was the Bourdain restaurant decadence, high-flying nature of it all, to saying, like, no, you're going to get up and, like, run or do yoga at sunrise?
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course it's a choice. It's a personal choice. We try to be encouraging. I do want to, you touched on one thing in a shift drink. Part of the ability to fund some of these other programs that we do, it's, if we have 70 plus employees, if you have anywhere from 10 to 30 employees, which is kind of the average of most small restaurants, and you take into calculation of what a shift drink costs you, and I'm talking cost, I'm not talking price, I'm talking actual hard costs of what it costs a restaurant, you are saving thousands of dollars a quarter by not providing that shift drink. And if you can take that money and parlay that into a different reward system.
I didn't even think about that. Right.
It's a win. It's a win. I don't care who you are. That shit costs money, right? Take that resource and parlay that into, turn that into something. The reward system doesn't have to go away. I'm not trying to take away fun or reward system. Make reward system different. We hire a tattooer at our company party. We make run club singlets. We have season tickets to Austin FC that we have 8 of them that we offer our staff. We buy cookbooks every month for the staff. That is directly from that money we're saving from our 70 employees of getting shift drinks. Now, I'm not a fun sucker, and I don't care how you have your fun. I really don't. I can support that. I sell booze in my bar. I sell booze in my restaurant. However, I can tell you that when you walk out of a restaurant and you have had a beer, the chances of you going across the street or down the road or wherever you are to another bar are infinitely higher, right? There's no getting around that. They just are. And if you don't have that opportunity, then maybe you do go home. Maybe you drink some water. Maybe you eat something healthy instead of staying out till 2 in your city till 4. And
I'm in LA. It's like, and I'm also a father too. It's like a hard 12 for me. On a late night. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you go for sure. And then you inevitably eat shitty, and then you sleep poorly, and you wake up the next day and you eat crappy again, because you're just wanting, it's either out of convenience or out of a craving of something greasy or fatty or whatever it might be, because that's what your body does. You crave sugar, you crave the alcohol, you crave it all. I mean, there's science behind this, y'all. So I wondered if you had, if that wasn't an option, and maybe you go home and then maybe there's something to do in the morning, you might choose that, because we are a profession and a culture of people who like to connect. And it is, you're right, like part of the attraction for many of the hospitality professional is kind of that lifestyle. That's why and you got to look at the majority of the people who are in this profession are from the ages of 20 to 28, right? Like, and that is kind of where you are in your life.
Yeah.
So it all goes hand in hand with you. But couldn't the profession last a lot longer if we weren't burning out so fast? Could you not see more 40, 45-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-old best bar and restaurant and hospitality professionals because they didn't need to check out, or because it wasn't rough on their bodies and rough and so hard on them, and they were making healthy decisions? And even if that, I mean, I look at this profession as my career, something I want to do for the rest of my life. There's a lot of people who come into this profession who are more transient and are looking to do something else with the rest of their lives. But if this could be a healthy, admirable, good money-making, benefits profession, how much better would we be? How much more retention would you have in your staff? How much more consistent would your restaurant be? How much more would people like to come, because that culture bleeds into your experience? And it's a full cycle thing. And so creating this shift, the shift to post-shift culture for me was like, create another opportunity for people to connect. They don't have to come, but make it. Because my excuse for so many years was, this is all we have, right?
Yeah.
If I don't go to the bar at 12:30, I'm not doing anything. It's all we have. It's our only option. Can't go to the library at 12 a.m. We can't go to the grocery store. We can't go to the movies. We can't, I would talk about all the things we couldn't do, and that would validate and justify my behavior to go out late at night, because my happy hour starts at midnight. Yours starts at 5. Why don't I get to have the same things? Right? So, I shifted my happy hour to 10 a.m. right? Or 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it may be. Yeah. But we do our run club meets at 10 a.m. and we do that specifically because people do work later in our business.
Oh, yeah.
And you have a little bit of time to sleep in, then you have time to come out. Traditionally the job starts a little bit later, right? Your shift doesn't start. There's hardly a restaurant shift that starts at 9 a.m. unless you're on prep or baking or work for a breakfast restaurant. The majority of restaurant shifts start a little bit later in the day. So yeah, here's the space. Join if you want. And guess what? People really wanted to join. People wanted to come. People wanted to connect. People wanted to hang out. People wanted to make a healthy decision. Even if it was once every couple of weeks, it was something else to do. And now we have a core group of people who come 3 days a week. And we add all sorts of other extra runs, yoga, et cetera, throughout the week, because there's a demand for it. There's a demand to continue to connect in a way that's healthy. And, some people can go and connect at night and still be healthy. That's great. But, here in these spaces, it's black and white. Like you're doing something in the sun outside in a way that is good for your body, good for your mind.
Yeah. And it also, even if you don't go, that you could be going, and maybe that keeps you in check. It's like, oh, maybe I'll go tomorrow. And then it's like, I'm tired, I didn't go, but at least I didn't go out, or I was healthier. All right, let's take a quick musical break. And when we come back, I want to talk more about the start of Run Club, and about what running means to you, and then also what you listen to on your runs. Get a little jogging playlist from you. We have a song from the archives here on Heritage Radio Network.
Don't touch me. I'm bleeding. Don't touch me. I'm bleeding. My boss is such a dick and I just told them off. I think my friends all hate me. just get lost. Don't touch me. I'm bleeding. Don't touch me. I'm bleeding. Don't touch me. I'm bleeding. Don't touch me. I'm bleeding.
Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are with our friend Philip Speer, chef, co-owner, Comedor in Austin, also the founder of the Comedor Rum Club. And, you know, one of the things that you talked about was not just creating space for people, but you have a space. You have a restaurant that has won a lot of accolades, a lot of respect, is a shining beacon of like what a restaurant strives to be in any sort of community. How much easier is it to shift the culture because you have the restaurant instead of, let's just say, setting up an organization or doing something that is just coming at it from, you know, a nonprofit point of view instead of having a clubhouse that you get to like serve people and runs the business that people are attracted to as well?
Man, you're nailing it with the questions because I think about all of these things and I often have these discussions. I think that it is important. It is important to me, and this is, you know, this could be a character defect as well, because I've used this validation piece often in my career, and I've allowed it to make some unhealthy decisions. But I do believe these decisions are healthy. But I do think it's important not only for myself but for the community to have that piece to say, look, this is a busy restaurant. This is a successful restaurant. This is a relevant restaurant, and I am operating it every day. I am here, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And I do this.
And
Guess
you
what?
do this. Yeah.
So can you.
Yeah.
You know, so can you. And yeah, what better? Yeah, we have a $3.5 million clubhouse. It's awesome. But you know, it's and it's funny. We say that all the time. We're like the Run Clubhouse, and doing yoga in this space. And the yoga is open to anybody in the community who wants to join it.
Courtyard. Is it out there?
In the courtyard when it's not too hot. But in the dining room, we move the tables and we have this big open space with the windows. And sometimes we just open part of the window so you have the fresh air. Sometimes we have it all closed off. It's nice and crisp and cool post run or however we do it. And that's open to anyone in the community, anyone in the restaurant and hospitality profession, and lots of runners and other people join us as well. And the idea is just to have people come into the clubhouse and do so. But I do think that piece is important. I think that piece is important. That validation piece, it shows the viability. It shows the opportunity to continue to do this. Also, I have staff that engages in the programming, right? So
you have advocates.
Yes, as a restaurateur, as an operator, as a chef, as a leader, and you know, I believe I'm a leader in our restaurant community, and I definitely am in my restaurant. It's like, hey, I have 3 chefs right now who have never run more than a mile, who are running with us 2 days a week, and their lives are changing, their bodies are changing, family meals are changing. I've seen a shift.
Oh, right,
I've seen
yeah.
a shift in the way we prepare a family meal. It's a little healthier. Much more water is being consumed.
Less
And
Diet Coke, more water. Yeah.
absolutely. As right now, I have 6 people in my staff who are engaging super regularly, and as well as many others who engage with us sometimes. I have people who have a little bit different of a schedule than the 10 a.m. who come to, we have PM runs now. And so they come to some of the PM runs. Luckily, our infrastructure has become big enough where we can have different people lead these runs, but it's the same mission, the same values, and the same kind of, driving force of why we do it. So it's, again, like, if you work early and you get out at 6 o'clock, you can go for an 8 p.m. run. And if you go for that 8 p.m. run, again, that might give you a healthier meal and a little more water and a little bit earlier to bed because you're pooped. It's really neat. But yeah, the piece that piece is important. I think it's really important. Again, just to say, hey, we can all do this. We're here doing it. And then other restaurateurs, other managers, directors, chefs, whatever, say, look, that is an operational restaurant that can do this. Why can't we do it? And I have seen across the country, there's been a lot of communications with other restaurant operators who have done similar programs because they've looked at the success of us doing it and say, that is possible. We can do it too. And it's happening. And that's happening across the country.
And you also have opened your doors to outside organizations, hosting Ben's Friend, which has a very sad and unfortunately sometimes too often starting point, but has really turned to incredible organization. Can you talk a little bit about that organization, how you got involved, and why you wanted to be the host for the Austin chapter?
For sure. I've heard about Ben's Friends. I heard of Ben's Friends. They were a couple years in, maybe just a year in. I had a little bit of sobriety, and I heard of this organization, this nonprofit organization that was doing this kind of just like a network or support for people in recovery who were restaurant professionals, but most of it was over in the southeast coast. It was born in Charleston, and most of the cities that they had spread to were around part of the country. And then I saw that my friend, Chef Gabe Rucker, had a Portland chapter. The Portland chapter opened up, and I was like, oh, great, they're moving in. And it was both Gabriel and Gregory Gourdet who were, and others, but those are the two people I knew who were involved. And I was like, well, these chefs are involved. That's amazing. Gregory Gourdet has been a huge part of my recovery.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He is, and Gabe has been too at this point. Gabriel Rucker has, but at that time, I was just like, well, I have to do this. I have to do this. Also, I emailed Ben's Friends. Didn't realize how small of a team it was, and how they were just kind of keeping it together. And I never got a response from them. And then one hot luck, I guess that was hot luck 2019, pre-pandemic. Gabriel came down for the event. We went running. We chatted. We hung out, and he called Mickey, who is the co-founder, Mickey Bass and Steve Palmer, the co-founders, Ben's Friends in Charleston. He called Mickey and said, hey, this is your Austin's your next city. This is your guy. And Austin's kind of a no-brainer because of the nightlife here and the restaurant scene, how quickly it was growing, and the pretty young age of the city. And within a couple weeks, Steve Palmer came down. Mickey was unavailable, unfortunately. Steve Palmer and the opening crew came down. Chef Gabe came, and we had dinner here. We ran our first meeting with their leadership, and I took over.
Wow.
And that is 4 years ago at this point. And we have remained the Austin chapter here at the clubhouse. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Central, we meet. We also have an online meeting, which happened after during a post-pandemic, online meetings became a thing. And then I'm also on the executive board for Ben's Friends, so I get to help kind of steer the direction of the organization now, which again is a nonprofit organization that has big national presence. We are now doing events at the National Restaurant Association events, Hot Luck, at Field Guide, at Southern Smoke, and we're starting to at wine festivals. So we're really starting to kind of infiltrate the whole scene through this like power of people just being involved in it and engaging in it and then spreading the word. So I'm also the national chair for Saturdays. So now where there was one meeting available once a week in your city, whatever city that may be, only a handful of settings.
Yeah.
Now there are multiple meetings available daily that you can access by the computer and by Zoom.
That's
by
incredible.
Zoom. It is incredible. And, Binge Friends is a network of sober food and beverage professionals. It's not a program of recovery. It's not rehab. It's, you don't come to Binge Friends to save your life, but you come to Binge Friends to see how other people do it and then hopefully get some ideas of how you can do it yourself and find a support system, get some phone numbers, create a network, create a community of people who have the same mission.
Which is so important, especially if you travel or go to eat or you're in another city. It's good just to know that, like, if you're feeling that pull or you're feeling like that you need some support, to be like, instead of just hitting up a chef to go and like eat at and get crushed at a dinner or something like that, it's like, hey, can we meet up for a coffee? Like, I need to see a face right now.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
speaking of that run with Gabe, was that the start of the Run Club? Was that sort of like the catalyst, or had it happened before?
We had already been running for a bit. I'm trying to think of timeline. It had to have been right around the same time because we were coming up on our 4th anniversary. It may have been, we may not have been official as a Run Club.
Yeah.
That's what it was, because that would have been in March of 19, and we didn't really become official as a Run Club until July. And so that for sure.
That's May's Memorial Day of 19.
Exactly. And so we had just opened. We opened April, and the restaurant was very new when Steve and the crew came down. And within the first few months of being open, we were a Binge Friends chapter. So it definitely had impact. Absolutely. It absolutely had impact. And I know that when some people saw Gabe and I running together, they were curious and wanted to run too. So
I remember. I mean, Instagram has definitely been helpful because I see all these chefs running and getting up together, and you're like, "What is that?" And there's something about it. Like, there's no equipment. You guys take a very I don't want to say easy route, but like a manageable route. And it's just. There's just something about it that is more than just like, all right, we're getting up and doing Pilates or we're doing, weightlifting or something like that. But what do you love about running and this inclusive practice of it? Because you've mentioned like people who've never run before are now like putting up a mile or two, which is pretty incredible.
And people who run a mile or two are now doing half marathons. And people who are doing half marathons, I've got a couple guys who are doing 100 milers. Like it's wild.
You did marathons.
Ultra marathons.
Oh, you're nuts. I mean,
no, it goes to another level. Well, look, it's all restaurant and hospitality professionals, right? However, I mean, chefs are fucking crazy. Right? We're obsessive.
That's why I love them. That's why I love them.
We dive in. If you're a chef with, most likely, of course, not going to make a blanket statement here, but if you're a chef with any kind of success, you're probably a little obsessive and a little bit zeroed in on pushing harder and more forward, right? Because it's a very competitive business, and to last, you have to have a little bit of
stamina. And be a little nuts. A little just like, I'll run 26 miles. I'll do 50. I'll do like a 50 mile run.
50K whatever that is. So, but look, beyond that, we wanted to be inclusive. We wanted to be able to meet you wherever you are on your fitness journey. So for a while, there was this, I believe, a misconception that we were much more fit than we actually are. But we've gotten to be in pretty great shape, and we run a lot. For me, when I quit drinking, and it was a choice I made to do. However, there was definitely some external factors that helped me make that decision, legally and familial, saving face, all of that. Right?
You can Google them. It's out there. You can Google it.
It's
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
You can see the story. I needed something because addiction is obsessive by nature. It is something that was at that time, and still I believe is, in my DNA and my personality. And running for me was not only did the movement satisfy that need, I was also not working for a bit. So I am incredibly antsy, incredibly energetic. I'm an incredibly energetic and antsy person. So that movement not only satisfied something really necessary for me in my life, but it gave me a chance to still a lot of the noise that's in my brain and in my heart. There was a zen aspect to it where I was alone. I was running. I didn't have my email in front of me. There weren't tickets printing out in front of me. And it allowed me to think about other things, and it became somewhat meditative. Now meditation for me is very different, but at that time I had I didn't know what meditation
Baby
was.
steps. Yeah.
Right?
Even into it. Yeah.
So yeah, and it did save my life. I mean, I was 285 pounds. And within a year, again, probably not the healthiest way, but again, there's that obsession again. Within a year, I'd lost 100 pounds. And that was, yeah. I mean, you knew me when you knew me. You've known me all along this journey. So
I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, you've seen the worst of it and the most physically unhealthy part of it. And it's, when I was in rehab, which again, I have privilege in the fact that I was able to go to a great rehab, and I appreciate that, but I was told that, I was type 2 diabetic, severe sleep apnea. I was smoking a pack and a half cigarettes a day. I was probably drinking about a gallon of Diet Coke a day. I was terribly overweight. The doctor was like, "You're going to lose a hand, a foot, an eye. You could die. You're not going to see your grandkids. I have 2 daughters."
Yeah.
It was, he was being, there was some, it was a little bit hyperbolic, but at the same time, I mean, he was an MD. He's like, I'm not lying to you. These things can't all happen, and you are on that route. You have to make a change. So I did. And running, I mean, I honestly say, and I say it to this day, and it's part of like my Run Club story and Run Club journey, is that running saved my life, straight up.
I mean, between the Run Club, between Ben's friends, between creating community, I mean, outside of your life, like how many lives have been saved and changed through this? Like, does what you're doing, and I know it's been going on for a few years, just feel like the start of helping people and changing and saying like, you can get into this world if you want to and have healthy balance, but it's been enough time for you to see people actually be like, oh, you were, and like we've seen them all. Like I mean, I've been around enough people in the F&B and the entertainment world where I was like, you might die. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I got that call about you.
Yep.
So what have you seen as changes in people?
Absolutely. I have seen you said something earlier about, sometimes just talking about the possibility of going makes a change in someone. I've seen that. I've seen other restaurant professionals, and majority of people that I connect with are chefs, but other chefs in my community who are going the route I was going currently. I'm a little older, so in their 30s and putting on the weight and still going out and getting a little bit more unhealthy and putting on weight. And I have fueled by or backed and validated by Run Club and Ben's friends, et cetera, and a lot of great press and recognition for it. I feel a little bit more confident talking to other people, and then showing that I was physically able to do it, and I'm still a chef, and I'm still running a restaurant. Running a successful restaurant,
and being a dad, and being a human, like having a full life.
Getting married tomorrow.
Congratulations! Yeah.
I feel like I have a little more confidence to go up to someone and say, "Hey, like, let's talk about your health. Like, I'm a resource, and if you're not feeling it, great. But if you are," and I've seen people who don't want to engage but start doing some other shit, and I'm like, I am here for that too. Like, you don't have to engage with my thing. it's our thing, but like you don't have to come run. Like running doesn't sound cool to you, or you don't maybe like this group of people for some reason, or you're intimidated, or you're not intimidated. You're like, I have seen the change. I have seen people pick up bicycles. I have seen people start soccer teams. There's a movement. There's a shift.
Whatever it is, just like get out
do
there.
It all.
Yeah.
Do it all. And I think that I can. It was hard for me to say this previously, but I think it's important for me and for the organization that I do. I really feel like we have shone the light on that a bit, at least in our community. And I feel really proud of that.
I mean, and as you should, and I definitely have seen it. Now, obviously, I know you, and so I follow you on Instagram, so I've seen it, but you start to see it percolate out from a point of success. Now, look, if you were doing this and the restaurant tanked and people were following along, like it's hard to make that argument, but you go like, look, it's working. It's like, it's working and it can work for you and you'll feel better. I mean, it's just, I've seen you, I've been out with you. Like we've had some times together, and I myself at some point was just like, you got to get on the bike. Like you got to get out there and be healthier, because this restaurant this like lifestyle will, if not kill you, catch up to you. Like, and to see what you're doing and giving the hope and changing the conversation, it's incredible to see. Now, before we go, the most important thing for what people are also wanting to hear is your running soundtrack. Because I know that you love music. You and I have bonded over it. And, it's like I myself have found that whenever I work out is that I'm not a quiet worker. Like I need a podcast. I need music. I don't know how people talk to each other, because I know that when I personally am sweating, I'm also, out of breath. But what are you rocking? What are you listening to? Do you guys have any like run club playlists? What do you recommend?
Go to Spotify. There's a Comedor Run Club playlist. I also have a playlist that I did in collaboration with Revival Motorcycles that's on my Spotify. My current go-to, I have from the 3M Half Marathon I did a couple months ago. I have a playlist that I've been adding to. It's called 2023 3M on 20233M on my Spotify, which is open to the public. And on that this is my go-to list right now if I'm listening to music. Some things on it. I've got everything from Refused to 9 Inch Nails to Beyonce to the Fontaines DC to Oza Motley. I have the Tune Yards. I've got a Giant Dog on there. I've got Florence and the Machine. I've also got LCD Sound System. I've got Aesop Rock and Freestyle Fellowship and Gang of Four. And I mean, I've got J. Cole. I've got some newer music, J. Cole and Belly. I've got some old Cut Chemist. I've got some old UGK on there because I'm from Houston. And
oh my God.
Switch Your House for Life. And, I've got some old like Big Boy and Outkast on there, as well as, you can't leave out, I don't know, Aesop Rock. I mean, I've already said Aesop Rock. There's so much. And you're right. I love music so much. It is such a big part of my life, has always been. I have been deep into multiple genre scenes through not only skateboarding from working in restaurants, and now like doing all of that with running is so great. And that that Lana Del Rey album's fucking great.
Yeah.
And
it's a good kind of, listen, like you get busier and obviously you get less time to listen to music. And a lot of the times when I'm crushing either songs that I love or checking out something new, it's when I exercise. And sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'll do an extra 5 because I want to hear this song,
for sure.
Or it's like, I need to get up that hill a little bit. So maybe it is K-pop, like maybe it is the stuff that's a little bit like more poppy and obvious that I love, that's so private. And I was like, maybe I'm playing it, it's like, it's just my time, but I love it.
And I have 2 daughters and a fiance, soon to be wife. And, there's a lot of Taylor Swift going through my favorites. And, I don't really have it on my I don't really have it on my playlist because I get plenty of it in the world, but, I don't hate it.
Look, if the Bear taught us anything this season, it was that Taylor Swift has a place in time. Well, Philip, I can't thank you enough. especially making time the day before you get married. Congratulations. If people want to check out the restaurant, Ben's Friends, the Run Club, like where can they go? If they want to get, I believe you have some Comedor Run Club hats as well. Like if they want to get a little swag.
We got singlets, we got hats, we got stickers, we have socks, we have great socks. I've been really blessed and fortunate to collaborate with some really great companies because of the visibility of the Run Club and the kind of newer genre that we're bringing to. So I've had some really cool stuff that we sell. Comedor Run Club has a website. I have a website, Philip Speer, 1L, 2 E's. Through that website, you can find the links to everything, including my personal Instagram to Comedor Run Club, Ben's Friends. It's all linked. It's all through there. All the stories are on there. There's a lot of press on there if you want to read a little bit deeper. So I would start at my website and then just kind of follow from there. If you're not one of these people that goes to websites and search engines, just go to Instagram and put in Comedor Run Club and Philip Speer, and those will all pop up.
Amazing. And you're going to send me, I'll get the link to some of the playlists. We'll put those in the episode description if people want to link. Well, listen, thank you so much. So good to see you. Congratulations again. And I'm sure we'll have you back on to chat and just see how far this grows and how far you run. We have another song from the archives and then a live performance here on Heritage Radio Network.
And I know what I had with you, and I know that I don't want again, only not with you, 'cause I want it to be true when I'm all inside of you. I say what I want, but I can't tell you anything. And I know that you don't think I can tell you everything, 'cause I want it to be true when I'm all inside of you. Though I need you now, don't know how much longer I'm holding on. Ain't nothing here to bother you no more. 'Cause I want it to be true when I'm all inside of you. No matter the feeling's gone. it feels better though. There's a chance that it lasts, but that feeling is fading fast. 'Cause I want it to be true, and I'm all inside of you. Though I feel you now, I don't know how much longer the feeling's gone. Ain't nothing here to have me holding on.
My name is Brandon Hoy, co-owner of Roberta's, a super duper awesome place. Roberta's is a very, 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 very proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. We're also super awesome. Thank you, Heritage.
Welcome back, Snacky Tunes. I'm one half your host, Greg Bresnitz. In studio today live, we have Bernadette. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Want to tell people who you are, who's on acoustic guitar and who's on keys?
I'm Ricky. I'm on guitar.
I'm Bianca. I'm on keys.
Welcome. So nice to have you in here. Proper first, I would say this is like we're in winter now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like we didn't get, I had like a nice fall jacket. I didn't get to really wear it. We're just now game on winter.
I'm wearing a cardigan right now. That's just,
Just a proper indie rock kind of like cardigan ready to kind of smooth into the winter.
Exactly.
Brought out the beanie today.
I know.
For the first time.
I definitely thought we had more time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
fall was too minimal. Well, we just flew by.
Never heard a season.
It's
Got as
minimal.
but yes, minimal. May 29th, 2016 was your first Instagram post.
That's true.
What was the conception of the band, and how did you begin to say, we're in a band? Did you have songs? Did you say we were going to make a music project together? Where did it start?
It started, Bianca and I we're friends, and we were hanging out, and we were just talking. We were literally having like oysters one day, and we were talking about how she always, she's like, I've never been in a band, but I love music, and I'd love to be in a band. I was like, well, let's start a band, let's do it.
We just did it.
That was it.
Like
and so that
yeah.
post that you just discussed, that was literally the first time. That was it. That was the conception of the band right there.
Did you have it over oysters? Like, did you put the post up and get the banner thing, or was there a difference between oysters, band name, decision?
That picture was taken at Momentette, and that was at the moment that it was like, okay, we have a band name now. We're in a band. This is our band. We started a band.
And for not being a band, did you play instruments before, or was it just like no instruments, no nothing? You're just like, I just want to be in a band.
So Ricky's played instruments. I've messed around with guitar, but nothing really. I've never played keys before, so.
I mean, it's very 1970s through 1990s way to I want to be in a band, so we're in a band. So what was the evolution? I know that you talked about that. It wasn't really until you became a trio that you became a band, but what was that year from the first Instagram post, getting the name? What was that first year like?
Bianca and I got together and we kind of wrote some things, and then our lives just, we were busy with life, and it wasn't until probably about a year after we conceived the band that we were like, well, actually, I was offered to play a solo show, and then I was like, you know what? This would be a perfect opportunity to turn this solo show into the first Bernadette show. So we corralled some friends, and we made it happen.
And where were the songs in that process? And what was it? What made it on the EP? Were those songs back then, or was it just certain songs you're just playing the time just to say we're going to play a show and this is what we have?
The EP, those songs were all pretty much written within a month period of each other. It was really kind of because of that show that those songs even came about. So I wrote the songs, and then we went into the studio about a month and a half after that first show, and that's when we recorded the EP.
And for you, for dabbling in guitar and never playing keys, how is the evolution? What is the mindset of saying, I want to be in a band, and then the actual work that it takes to get to that place?
Well, I definitely...
both public and private.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know what I was getting into. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Like, the first time in the studio, everyone was like, you were having the most bizarre experience, like, in the studio for the first time, and, like, didn't even play a show yet. That's, like, unheard of. So, you know, it was definitely interesting.
And was the to learn all these instruments self-taught? Is it how are you doing it, or how have you done it?
Just do it. I don't know.
Not much thought.
Yeah.
Just kind of one.
I mean,
note
no,
in front of the
it's
other.
definitely like, you know, it takes hard work and practice. But yeah, you know, you just do it.
Can we hear a song?
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you gonna play for us first?
I guess we'll start with the first song on the EP. It's called Forever an Instance.
Great. Here we go with Bernadette live on Snacky Tunes.
In the comfort of masochistic empathy, I lay myself at your horror. There's no further I could burn without a break. I'll bleed my innocence in your honor. When the light fades and the silence sings, and your boredom lays down all its clutter, you can bury me gently underneath the lily white chains of your armor. And you are direct my helpless lust for you, and you are direct my helpless lust for you. Owning decadence forever an instance. Isolation, isolation, isolation. And you are direct my helpless lust for you, and you are direct my helpless lust for you, my helpless lust for you. Rodent feeling the catastrophe of love's been branded on me, oh, so sweetly. It's always been for you.
Before we get to the Shadow Pain EP, one more follow-up question.
Yeah.
What was it about being in a band that you wanted without really having much experience in playing instruments? Or what was it that spoke or called to you?
I mean, I've always loved music. I always loved the idea of being on stage. And I mean, Ricky always tells me I'm like a natural born performer. And I feel like I kind of knew that before. So it was just something I needed to like actually do.
She's got to take those dance moves, natural dance moves to the stage, you know?
And it just called to you.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. when those things speak to you and you don't have a good reason, or you can't put your finger on it,
Right.
you can't trace it back, you're just like, it's just inside.
Yeah.
It's just part of you.
Exactly.
And then when you did your first show, how did it feel?
I was terrified. Yeah, I mean, it was one of the scariest / coolest moments of my life. Like, a bunch of friends came and supported me, and after we played, like, everyone in the band just gave me a big hug, and it was a moment that I'll never forget.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When you were doing the EP, it was more than just the three of you. It was a huge group of friends. How did it come together, and what was the recording process?
Well, so yeah, when we had that initial show, we kind of talked to a couple friends about playing with us, and so when we went to the studio, I was like, well, you guys already know the songs. Do you guys just want to come into the studio with us? And everyone was like, yeah, let's do this. So we recorded in Greenpoint at my buddy Jeff, his Studio G, and I mean, yeah, it was really just like 5 friends just hanging out and playing music. I mean, it's as simple as that, you know.
And was it something that was constructed and every take was the same, or was it just versions of the song and then you picked the one that you loved the most? What was the paring down process?
There is definitely a solidified, you know, kind of vision on what the songs were. I think Molly out of everyone is the more kind of no two take is the same kind of thing for her. So I mean, there's the rough sketch, but she definitely improvises a lot and still does live now. So.
And what did the members contribute in that moment of time that are no longer part of the band?
Part of the live experience.
Part of the live
I mean,
experience.
there's. I think the most noticeable thing is there's no second guitarist, you know, live. Bianca's actually adopted some of the parts though on keys, so there's that, and there's also no bass live. We have two. Well, we have a key bass that we play for some songs, but yeah. So that's kind of yeah.
And the decision process to take it back down to a trio, was it a tough conversation? Did you have to say, thanks for coming to the studio, you're out of the band, hit the road? Or how did it get from a larger group ensemble down to the 3 of you?
There was, I mean, you know, everyone, it was a combination of like obligations and just kind of other things, you know, like our buddy Gordy played bass with us and he's in another band and they're pretty active, and so it was just, you know, it was just kind of naturally, it was like, all right, well, thanks for helping with this thing, you know, and we're all still good buddies, so it's, you know.
For the shows that are at home in Brooklyn, will they ever come and join you on stage, or is it just permanent trio status?
I think right now, I mean, we've talked about it actually, because it would be fun. Actually, Gordy and I were talking about this a little bit ago. Like, it would be fun. He's like, I'd love to, yeah, exactly what you just said, just jump on stage and play a few songs with you. And so, I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
Can we hear another song?
Sure, yeah.
What are you going to play for us?
We're going to play the first single from the thing. Yeah, it's called 6 Strands. Be a different version of it, but it'll be the same, you know, same hit song that, you know, everyone's dancing. Lie with the woven 6 strands of your hair as a charm bracelet round my wrist instead, onto the pavement, caressing the cracks as a remembrance of our faded past, waiting to find solace that spoon-fed the intrinsic shine of love's laid lost too long. Truth partially, the truth it was for me. Though I still cling to all you said, not on the water, collected in fire, sorbetting daughter, clandestine desire, waiting to find solace that spoon-fed the intrinsic shine of hopes they'd lost too long. In
I still cling to all you said. No, we are is what we were. A failed man you are. A failed man you are. No, we are is what we were. A failed man you are. A failed man you are.
You just got back from your first tour in August. Same terror as your first show, or old pro by this time?
I mean, more excitement, you know, because you're like going on tour. We went to a bunch of places I've never been before. And, you know, in the beginning, it's like, oh, my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But then by the end of the tour, it seemed like so natural, like just playing every day. You know, it was like second nature. So it was a really good experience.
Any experience that burst the bubble and removed some of the glamour from the...
Our near-death experience?
Do you want to take this one, Ricky?
Oh, please.
So there was a bed in the back of the van. We were driving, and so Bianca and Molly were taking a little nap in the back, and we just left Detroit, and we're heading down the highway, you know, doing 75, 80 or whatever, and all of a sudden, the hood of the van just pops up and slams up against the windshield, so it's completely black.
Cracks the windshield.
We're going.
Rear mirror falls all the way into the back.
Yeah, it's
wait. Who falls all the way?
The rear view.
Yeah, the rear view mirror. Yeah, so it's, and you know, I'm in the middle lane on the highway, so I had to navigate, you know, get off the road while, you know, not really having too much vision, which was it's pretty terrifying. But
so you just pull over, have 2 shots of whiskey, pace around the van for 45 minutes, and then get back on the road.
Essentially, roughly, yeah.
Or a good cry.
Okay.
Or 10. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then what were the cities that you hit?
So we started in Detroit, went down to Athens, Georgia, Savannah, where else?
Nashville. We did a lot of the Carolinas.
Yeah. Oh, Raleigh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Favorite venue and favorite food while on the road?
Ooh,
favorite venue was definitely in Charleston.
See,
Tin Roof.
I did like Tin Roof a lot, but I also dug in Athens, the place we
That place was cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
And the sound, that was my favorite sound, actually.
And best food, best bite on the road?
Oh, that's tough.
Ooh, cookout.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Have you ever been to Cookout? So it's like this fast food spot in, I think they're mainly in the Carolinas. I think there's some in Virginia too, but it was the best. It was so good.
What type of barbecue or fast food?
I got like this pulled pork sandwich, and they have a quesadilla as a side.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Just in case you're not going to get full from the pulled pork, we'll get you some cheese to come up the works.
Exactly.
So EP out September.
Yeah.
First tour done. Fall or winter is officially here.
Yeah.
We're out of the minimal season.
That's out of the minimal
What does the coming months look like for Bernadette?
So we're playing a show next, or we're in the works of, we're going to play a show next month, and then we're going to kind of take it easy for the rest of the year. But we're trying to organize. We want to do a music video for one of the songs on the EP.
Amazing.
One of the songs called "I Know I." I think we're just gonna. We've been writing. We have a bunch of new songs. I think we're pretty much just focusing on just more project-based stuff before, and then start doing live shows again.
I mean, winter is upon us, and for anyone that is a New Yorker in the winter, this is the time that you're creative,
right?
Because you just bunker down and
it's time to hibernate.
You're just hibernating, and you know that as soon as it turns nice, you're not getting anything new done or any work done. So this is like 4 or 5 months of pure creativity and just hard work just to coast on the rest of the warm months.
It's true.
Well, we want to make sure we have time for one more song.
Sure.
But where can people find you, hear the EP, follow you on Instagram, look at that very famous Instagram first post?
That's right. Look, exactly, the fabled first post. Yeah, you can find us on Instagram. Bernadette, well, the handle is Bernadette_is_a_band. So Bernadette is a band. You can find us on all the Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, everything. Just search for Bernadette, and Shadow Paint is the name of the EP. And yeah, that's
great.
That's it.
Well, also thank you to Dan of the Sporkful for speaking with us early in the episode, and thank you, Bernadette, for coming.
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
we will be back next week with an all-new episode of Snacky Tunes. What are you going to take us out with?
We're going to take you out with actually a brand new song. So this is a debut. This is a
Snacky Tune exclusive. We love these.
It's true.
They're our favorites. What's it called?
Morocco.
Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week here on Snacky Tunes.
The sentiment went awry with your senses flocked and expired. When someone looks out, the other one gets it. Someone looks out, the other one gets it. When someone looks out, the other one gets it. Someone looks out, the other one gets it. Smoke and our shadows comprise a portrait of yourself. Smoke and our shadows comprise a portrait of yourself. Wonder why, wonder why, wonder why. We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes, finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Snacky Tunes is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.